I spoke this once and went from rock bottom to rich. Florence Scovel Shinn. There exists within the sacred chambers of your consciousness a power so magnificent, so absolute, that one single utterance can shift the entire trajectory of your earthly experience from the depths of despair to the heights of divine abundance. This is not mere wishful thinking or empty philosophy. This is the fundamental law of the universe operating through the divine vehicle of the spoken word, as revealed through the timeless wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. When you find yourself at rock bottom, when the world seems to have turned its back on you, when every door appears locked and every pathway blocked, you are not experiencing punishment or cosmic abandonment. You are standing at the threshold of the greatest spiritual awakening of your life. For it is in these moments of apparent darkness that the soul cries out for truth, and truth always answers. The word you speak in faith becomes the golden key that unlocks every door, dissolves every obstacle, and transforms every mountain of impossibility into a pathway of divine manifestation. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this profound truth when she declared that the game of life is a game of boomerangs. Every word you speak returns to you clothed in the circumstances of your experience. When you speak from the consciousness of lack, limitation, and defeat, you set into motion the very forces that perpetuate these conditions. But when you align your spoken word with the infinite intelligence and limitless supply of the universe, you become a co-creator with the divine, and miracles become your natural inheritance. The transformation begins not with your circumstances, but with your consciousness. Your external world is but a reflection of your internal dialogue, the ongoing conversation between your conscious mind and the infinite wisdom that flows through you. When you change the nature of this conversation, when you elevate the vibration of your spoken word to match the frequency of abundance, prosperity, and divine favor, your entire reality must reorganize itself to reflect this new spiritual truth. Consider this profound declaration that can shift your entire existence in a single moment. I am one with infinite intelligence and infinite supply. What is mine by divine right now comes to me in perfect timing and in perfect ways. These are not empty words spoken into void. They are spiritual commands that activate the law of divine circulation, drawing to you everything that belongs to your highest good. When you speak these words with absolute faith and unwavering conviction, you set into motion forces so powerful that the universe itself must respond. But understand this clearly. The power lies not merely in the repetition of words, but in the consciousness from which they arise. When you speak from the consciousness of your divine identity, recognizing yourself as a spiritual being having a human experience, every word becomes charged with creative power. You are not begging the universe for favors. You are claiming your divine inheritance as a child of the Most High. You are not hoping for change. You are commanding it through the authority of spiritual law. The spoken word is the bridge between the invisible realm of infinite possibility and the visible world of manifest experience. When you understand this sacred principle and begin to work with it consciously, deliberately, and consistently, you discover that you have been given dominion over every circumstance in your life. No situation is too difficult, no problem too complex, no lack too great to be transformed through the power of the rightly spoken word, aligned with divine truth. The greatest prison that humanity has ever constructed is not made of stone and steel, but of thoughts and beliefs that bind the soul to limitation, lack, and spiritual amnesia. Poverty consciousness is not merely about having little money in your bank account. It is a complete disconnection from your divine nature and the infinite abundance that is your birthright as a child of the universe. To rise from rock bottom to riches, you must first understand and demolish every false belief that has kept you imprisoned in limitation. Florence Scovel Shinn revealed that every man has within him the Christ mind, and the Christ mind is never poor. This is not religious doctrine, but spiritual fact. Within your consciousness lies the same creative power that spoke worlds into existence, that transforms chaos into order, that brings forth abundance from apparent nothingness. Yet most people walk through life unaware of this magnificent truth. accepting limitation as natural and struggle as inevitable. Poverty consciousness manifests in countless subtle ways that most people never recognize. It appears when you say, "I can't afford it," instead of, "How can I create the means to afford it?" It emerges when you view money as scarce rather than as an infinite spiritual substance flowing through divine circulation. It reveals itself when you compete with others for resources instead of understanding that the universe contains enough abundance for everyone to prosper magnificently. It shows up when you work from fear rather than from faith, when you hoard rather than circulate, when you see yourself as separate from the source of all supply. But here lies the miraculous truth that can transform your life in an instant. Poverty consciousness is nothing more than a collection of false beliefs that have no real power except what you give them through your acceptance. The moment you withdraw your faith from limitation and place it squarely upon the infinite abundance of the universe, these false beliefs begin to crumble like sandcastles before the incoming tide of divine truth. Declare with absolute authority, "There is no lack in God's kingdom, and God's kingdom is within me. I am heir to infinite riches, and I now claim my divine inheritance." Feel these words resonate through every fiber of your being. Allow them to dissolve every thought pattern that has ever suggested you were meant for anything less than magnificent abundance. Your spoken declaration becomes the spiritual dynamite that blasts through the walls of limitation that have surrounded your consciousness. The transformation from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness requires more than positive thinking. It demands a complete revolution in your understanding of your relationship with the universe. You must recognize that you are not a beggar pleading for crumbs from the divine table, but a beloved child of infinite intelligence, welcome to feast at the banquet of unlimited supply. You are not separate from abundance. You are abundance expressing itself in unique and perfect form. When you truly grasp this revolutionary understanding, everything changes. Your relationship with money transforms from one of struggle and anxiety to one of joyful circulation and grateful receiving. Your approach to opportunities shifts from scarcity-based competition to abundance-based collaboration. Your entire energy field begins to vibrate at the frequency of prosperity, naturally attracting circumstances, people, and resources that reflect this elevated consciousness. This is the sacred alchemy of consciousness. The transformation of base thoughts of limitation into the pure gold of spiritual understanding. As you consistently speak words of abundance and prosperity, as you refuse to accept limitation as your reality, as you align your consciousness with the infinite supply of the universe, you become a magnet for miraculous demonstrations of divine provision. The same power that transforms caterpillars into butterflies now works through your consciousness to transform your entire life experience from lack to limitless abundance. Wealth is not something you acquire through struggle and striving. It is something you become through the elevation of your vibrational frequency to match the consciousness of abundance itself. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every emotion you feel sends out vibrations into the quantum field of infinite possibility, and these vibrations determine what returns to you in the form of your life experience. When you understand this profound principle and begin to work with it consciously, you discover that becoming wealthy is not about working harder, but about vibrating higher. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the imaging faculty is the creative faculty, and it is important to choose words that image only success and happiness. Your imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the workshop of creation where thoughts become things, where dreams take on substance, where the invisible becomes visible. When you consistently imagine yourself as prosperous, abundant, and financially free, you are not engaging in wishful thinking. You are programming your subconscious mind to create the circumstances that match these internal images. The law of divine circulation operates on the principle that the universe is in constant motion, constantly giving and receiving, constantly flowing from one form to another. Money is simply one form of this divine energy, and like all energy, it must circulate to maintain its power. When you attempt to hoard money from fear, you stop the circulation and cut yourself off from the flow. But when you allow money to flow through you with gratitude and wisdom, you become a conduit for ever-increasing abundance. Speak this powerful declaration and feel its truth penetrate every cell of your being. I am a perfect channel for divine substance. Money flows to me easily, joyfully, and abundantly. I give generously, receive gracefully, and prosper magnificently. These words are not mere affirmations. They are spiritual commands that align your consciousness with the laws of abundance and activate the divine circulation in your life. The vibration of wealth is characterized by gratitude, generosity, confidence, and expectancy. Wealthy consciousness never worries about having enough because it recognizes its connection to the infinite source of all supply. It gives freely because it knows that giving creates a vacuum that must be filled with even greater abundance. It speaks words of prosperity and abundance not to convince the universe to give it something, but to acknowledge what is already true in the spiritual realm and to call it forth into manifestation. Most people operate from the vibration of lack without realizing it. They speak words of limitation, focus on what they don't have, worry about their financial future, and compete with others for resources. This vibrational frequency creates a magnetic field that attracts more experiences of lack, struggle, and financial pressure. But when you consciously choose to vibrate at the frequency of abundance, when you train your thoughts and words to align with prosperity consciousness, you create an entirely different magnetic field, one that draws wealth, opportunities, and miraculous demonstrations of supply. The transformation occurs not through force or struggle, but through the gentle, persistent elevation of your vibrational frequency. Each time you choose thoughts of abundance over thoughts of lack, each time you speak words of prosperity instead of words of limitation, each time you feel grateful for what you have rather than focusing on what you lack, you raise your vibration and move closer to the magnetic field of wealth. This is not about denying your current circumstances. It is about refusing to let your current circumstances define your future possibilities. Remember that the universe operates on energy and vibration, not on appearances. What appears to be lack in your current experience may simply be energy that has not yet transformed into its abundant expression. By maintaining the vibration of wealth regardless of your current circumstances, you give this energy permission to reorganize itself into the forms that match your elevated consciousness. Within your consciousness lies a faculty so powerful, so connected to the infinite intelligence of the universe, that it can transform your entire life experience in what appears to be an instant. This is what Florence Scovel Shinn called the miracle mind, that aspect of your being that operates beyond the limitations of time, space, and apparent impossibility. When you access this divine faculty and align it with the power of the spoken word, you step into a realm where miracles are not rare occurrences, but natural expressions of spiritual law. The miracle mind operates from the understanding that in the spiritual realm, there is no time delay between cause and effect, between desire and fulfillment, between need and supply. What appears to take time in the physical world is simply the process by which infinite intelligence organizes circumstances, people, and events to bring about the perfect manifestation of your spoken word. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that your transformation from lack to abundance has already occurred in the spiritual realm. Your physical experience is simply catching up to this spiritual reality. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn could declare with such authority, "There is never any delay in the fulfillment of the divine idea." When you speak words of prosperity and abundance from the consciousness of your divine nature, you are not asking the universe to create something new. You are claiming something that already exists in the realm of infinite possibility. Your spoken word becomes the bridge that allows this spiritual reality to manifest in your physical experience. Declare now with the full authority of your divine nature, "My good comes to me now, under grace in perfect ways. I am divinely guided, divinely supplied, and divinely protected in all my affairs." Feel the power of these words resonating through your entire being. Recognize that you are not hoping for these things to become true. You are acknowledging what is already true in the mind of infinite intelligence. The miracle mind recognizes no impossibility, accepts no limitation, and acknowledges no shortage. It operates from the consciousness that all things are possible with God, and that God is the very life and intelligence expressing itself through you. When you think from the miracle mind, you do not see obstacles, you see opportunities. You do not see problems, you see divine solutions waiting to unfold. You do not see lack, you see abundance that has not yet revealed itself in visible form. The key to accessing the miracle mind lies in releasing your attachment to how your good must come, and instead focusing on the certainty that it will come. The human mind, limited by past experience and physical appearances, often tries to figure out the method by which transformation will occur. But the miracle mind surrenders the method to infinite intelligence while maintaining unwavering faith in the outcome. When you operate from the miracle mind, you discover that the universe has resources, methods, and pathways completely unknown to your limited human consciousness. Opportunities appear from unexpected sources. Solutions emerge from impossible circumstances. People you have never met become instruments of your blessing. Money flows to you through channels you never could have imagined. This is not luck or coincidence. This is the natural operation of infinite intelligence working through your elevated consciousness. The spoken word becomes the activating force that sets the miracle mind into operation. When you speak with absolute faith and unwavering conviction, when you declare your good as already accomplished, when you thank the universe in advance for the miraculous demonstrations that are on their way to you, you align your consciousness with the miracle mind and open the floodgates of infinite possibility. Remember that miracles are not violations of natural law. They are the natural expression of spiritual law operating at a frequency higher than ordinary consciousness can perceive. When you elevate your consciousness to the frequency of the miracle mind, what seems impossible to others becomes inevitable to you. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of the universal consciousness, and like all seeds, it must produce after its kind. This is not metaphor or poetry. This is the fundamental law governing all manifestation in the physical universe. The sacred science of spoken demonstrations reveals that your words are creative forces that shape, mold, and determine every aspect of your life experience. When you understand this principle and apply it with wisdom and consistency, you become the conscious creator of your own reality. Florence Scovel Shinn discovered that words and thoughts are molds in which we cast our experiences. Every financial struggle, every abundance, every opportunity, every setback has its origin in the words and thoughts that preceded it. Most people use this creative power unconsciously, speaking words of limitation, fear, and lack, then wondering why their lives reflect these same conditions. But when you begin to use your words scientifically, deliberately, and with full awareness of their creative power, you step into mastery over your circumstances. The science behind spoken demonstrations lies in understanding that the universe is mental in nature, responsive to consciousness, and governed by precise spiritual laws. Your spoken word is the vehicle through which your consciousness impresses itself upon the universal substance, causing it to take form in your experience. When you speak words aligned with divine truth and infinite possibility, you set into motion forces that must produce corresponding results in your physical world. Declare with scientific precision and spiritual authority, "I speak only words of truth, prosperity, and divine order. My word is law in my affairs, and my affairs now reflect perfect abundance and success." These words are not wishful thinking. They are spiritual commands that activate the law of manifestation and direct the creative forces of the universe to produce specific results in your life. The key to successful spoken demonstrations lies in speaking from the consciousness of completion rather than the consciousness of need. When you declare, "I am prosperous and abundant," rather than, "I want to be prosperous and abundant," you align your consciousness with the spiritual reality where your prosperity already exists. You are not trying to create something new. You are claiming something that is already yours by divine right. The timing of spoken demonstrations follows spiritual law rather than human impatience. Some demonstrations appear instantly, while others unfold gradually as infinite intelligence organizes all the necessary elements for perfect manifestation. Your role is not to dictate the timing, but to maintain unwavering faith in the outcome while taking whatever inspired action presents itself. The most powerful spoken demonstrations combine three essential elements: clarity, conviction, and consistency. Clarity ensures that your words paint a precise picture of what you wish to experience. Conviction infuses your words with the energy of absolute faith. Consistency creates the momentum necessary for breakthrough results. When these three elements unite in your spoken word, you become an irresistible force for positive change in your life. Many people speak powerful words, but then immediately cancel their effectiveness by speaking contradictory words of doubt, fear, or limitation. The sacred science of spoken demonstrations requires that you become vigilant about every word you speak, ensuring that each word builds upon and reinforces your desired outcome rather than working against it. Remember that your subconscious mind and the universal consciousness accept your words as instructions for creation. They do not judge whether your words are wise or foolish, positive or negative. They simply work to manifest whatever you consistently speak with feeling and conviction. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized the importance of speaking only words that you want to see manifested in your experience. The transformation from rock bottom to riches through spoken demonstrations is not about manipulating external circumstances. It is about aligning your consciousness so perfectly with abundance that abundance has no choice but to manifest in your experience. The ultimate goal of understanding the power of the spoken word is not merely to accumulate wealth or escape difficult circumstances, but to live in continuous alignment with the divine nature that is your true identity. When you recognize yourself as a spiritual being expressing through physical form, when you understand that abundance is your natural state and limitation is merely a temporary illusion, you step into a way of living that demonstrates heaven on earth. Living the abundant life requires more than sporadic declarations of prosperity. It demands a complete transformation of consciousness that permeates every aspect of your existence. This transformation begins with the recognition that you are not separate from the source of all good, all wealth, all abundance. You are the unique and perfect expression of infinite intelligence, temporarily focused through human experience but never limited by it. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. This profound truth reveals that your capacity to receive abundance is determined not by external circumstances, but by your internal vision of yourself. When you consistently see yourself as prosperous, blessed, and divinely favored, you create the mental equivalent that must manifest as corresponding conditions in your physical experience. Your daily life becomes a continuous prayer of gratitude and expectancy when you truly understand your divine nature. Every morning becomes an opportunity to align your consciousness with infinite intelligence. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate the power of spiritual principle over physical appearance. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to circulate the energy of abundance and bless others with the overflow of your prosperity consciousness. Declare this truth as the foundation of your abundant living. I live, move, and have my being in infinite abundance. Every breath I breathe, every word I speak, every action I take is aligned with divine prosperity. I am a blessing to everyone I meet, and blessings flow back to me in ever-increasing measure. Let these words become the anthem of your transformed life. The abundant life is characterized by effortless flow rather than struggle and strain. When you are aligned with divine intelligence, opportunities present themselves naturally. Resources appear when needed, and solutions emerge from unexpected sources. You discover that you no longer need to force outcomes or manipulate circumstances because you are working in harmony with the creative power of the universe. This alignment also transforms your relationship with others. Instead of seeing people as competitors for limited resources, you recognize them as fellow expressions of divine intelligence, each playing their perfect role in the grand symphony of universal harmony. You become genuinely interested in others' success because you understand that their prosperity enhances rather than diminishes your own. The practice of living abundantly requires vigilance over your thoughts, words, and actions to ensure they remain aligned with your highest vision. This is not about perfection, but about conscious intention and gentle correction when you notice yourself slipping back into patterns of limitation or lack. As you continue to live from this elevated consciousness, speaking words of abundance, thinking thoughts of prosperity, and taking actions aligned with divine guidance, you discover that what once seemed like miraculous interventions become natural expressions of your evolved awareness. The transformation from rock bottom to riches is complete not when your bank account reaches a certain number, but when your consciousness has permanently shifted to reflect your divine nature. Your life becomes a living demonstration of spiritual principle, inspiring others to recognize their own divine potential and claim their own abundant inheritance. You discover that the greatest wealth is not what you accumulate, but what you become, a conscious co-creator with infinite intelligence, living in perfect harmony with the abundant universe that is your true home. In this state of divine alignment, every word you speak carries creative power. Every thought you think contributes to the elevation of consciousness, and every day brings new demonstrations of the infinite love and abundance that flow through you as naturally as breath flows through your lungs. This is the promise fulfilled, the transformation complete, the abundant life eternally expressing itself through your conscious awareness of your divine nature.